There are a number of tough runoff battles taking place for seats on the Chicago City Council. We'll look at one of the most high-profile aldermanic races, the 20th Ward, where a Grammy Award-winning rapper is taking on the incumbent, a former Chicago police officer. I'll talk with Rhymefest Smith and Willie Cochran about the issues facing this Southside Ward. All that and more coming up next on Chicago Tonight. The rapper versus the cop in the battle for 20th Ward Alderman. The 20th Ward has often been referred to as one of Chicago's most troubled. It includes areas dealing with poverty and crime like Englewood, Washington Park, Woodlawn, and back of the yards. Vacant lots and foreclosures are also a concern. So what is to be done? Those two candidates join us now, and they are incumbent Alderman Willie Cochran. Before being elected to his first term in 2007, Cochran served as a Chicago police officer for more than 25 years. In the February election, he received 46% of the vote. And Rhymefest Smith, he's a Grammy Award-winning musician and producer. Last month, he picked up 20% of the vote. And the candidates are seated in the order they will appear on the ballot. And gentlemen, welcome to Chicago Tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Alderman is the incumbent. I'll begin with you. Currently, what is the most pressing issue in your ward?
Jobs and crime. And what we've done to create jobs in the ward has been to bring resources to the ward. We brought development into the ward so that we can put people to work on work sites. We brought in a Career Pathways initiative that is an employment agency that has put over 300 people to work. We brought in businesses, 38 new businesses, and we've introduced a new grocery store most recently that has been able to provide us with some employment. We are also putting a Center for Working Families in place at Kennedy King to take the resources that Kennedy King and the city colleges has to put people into career paths.
All right.
Those are some of the things that we've done.
You've listed some points. Smith, given what the Alderman just said, state the case for change.
Well, I'll tell you, there are three priorities in the 20th Ward: jobs, crime, and let's not forget education. With the majority of our schools failing in the 20th Ward, with 27% unemployment in the 20th Ward, and with crime at an all-time high, 3 people died in 1 week in the 20th Ward, we need a plan. There has not been a plan in the last 3.5 years, and we need a plan. What I would do, number one, there are green jobs in the new green economy that are already available that people are not being trained for. So we want to make sure that people are qualified. We talk about a high-speed rail coming to Chicago. Who's going to help build that high-speed rail? I want it to be people in the 20th Ward. I received the endorsement from the Chicago Teachers Union because of my work in education.
Yet the Alderman has gotten the endorsements from other sources as well. Alderman Cochran, your case for keeping your job?
Well, my case for keeping my job is that I bring experience, I bring education, I bring a relationship of working with community organizations that have developed housing, that has restored social work into the ward. We have brought and put a plan in place. We talk about a plan. I organized a plan in Woodlawn. I organized a quality of life plan in Washington Park, and I have another quality of life plan in Englewood. Those are roadmaps that guide me in the course by which I take to look at economic development, to improve schools, to build collaborations. And that is what we have been doing, improving schools.
Speaking of roadmaps, Smith, you're switching your roadmap. Why are you, you're well known as a rapper in the music industry, you won a Grammy Award.
Yes.
Why are you switching career paths?
Because there's a need. There's a need in the community. There's suffering in the community. As we talk about a plan, all you have to do if you want to really talk about quality of life, come down to the 20th Ward and see how people are living. Come right in front of the Alderman's office. See how people are living. Ask people what's going on. In Englewood, people haven't received mail for a month. In Woodlawn,
is that true?
And that's not true. That's absolutely not true.
Alderman, you've been a harsh critic of your opponent and of his music career as a rapper against him, and you've called his candidacy, quote, one of the biggest attempted frauds that there is or has ever been in Chicago politics. What do you mean?
Well, what I mean by that is to say that you can come in and be an elected official, bringing the kind of background that he has brought with him, where a person can't even get employed at a school or a park district. A police officer can become a police officer with that kind of background. And as an elected official, Well, I'm referring to the criminal background that he has.
Okay, let's address that. There's a misdemeanor weapons charge and a domestic battery charge in your past. What do you want people to understand about that?
Well, what I would say about that is, you know, this is before I had perspective. I traveled the world. My family and my village rallied around me. If you look at 80%.
How long ago was that, by the way?
Oh, gosh, I'm 33 right now. That was back when I was 23, so I would say about 10 years ago. But what I really want to say is that 80% of black men, by the time we reach 18 years old, have an incident with the law. So are we saying that 80%, which represents a lot of the young men in our community. So are we saying that 80% of the young men in our community can't be leaders? We can't have redemption? I've worked for schools. I've worked for change. I've been endorsed by the SCIU. I'm married to a teacher at Whitney Young High School. We can't say that a person's past predicts their future or their present. I think that is very disrespectful to everyone who's trying to make a change in their lives.
And Alderman Cochran, a closing thought from you.
But on the other hand, if you want to be an elected official, there's a certain conduct that is expected. I go to Washington, D.C. to lobby to bring resources back to the community. With the record that Mr. Smith has, he wouldn't even be able to get a clearance to go in the Capitol.
I've been in the Capitol. I've testified in the halls of the Congress. I've worked for Artists' Rights Bill, H.R. 848, with Congressman John Conyers, Congressman Hank Johnson, and Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee. See, there's a narrative that's built of new blood, of redemption, of people's character, and I think that is very dangerous for my family as we walk through Washington Park. And it's an intergenerational disconnection.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid that's where we'll have to leave it for this portion of the discussion. We will continue this conversation, though, on our website with more questions about the campaign and the future of the 20th Ward. Just go to WTTW.com/Chicago Tonight and click on the box on the right side labeled Chicago's Aldermanic Runoff Elections, then click on the 20th Ward to get to the video.